This is a presentation of the Badlands Media Network. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is April 4th, 2023, and this is episode 57 of the Rattler Gator Report. I'm extremely pleased you're joining me on this beautiful day in creation. And yes, I am scrambling yet again. I am just so distracted, personally and every other way. And when I go back and look at this in years from now, I'm sure it's going to be evident to me. It's probably quite evident to you, but I never could have imagined. This is life surprises you, and you have to keep on rocking and rolling, and that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm very engaged, very intrigued among the distraction, and that's what's bubbling in my curious mind this morning as our 45th president is dealing with issues in New York. And wow, what a day. What a day it's going to be, I'm sure. I'm hopeful that many of those who are like-minded with us don't fall into a trap in New York, allowing for a narrative display of nonsense. We shall see. But we know that's quite possible. And I think about talking about, force multiplier. It's a favorite term of mine. And, this is a time where we need to focus on substantive things, important matters. And this is, of course, what Donald Trump has been trying to get us to focus on, not the distractions, the real deal, the educational narrative we need to be first sovereigns and to take back our country from this invisible enemy. And I'm thinking about that a lot. I'm also, looking at it through the lens of artificial intelligence. You've certainly heard me go on and on about how we must walk with this technology. I saw a good little YouTube interview, and I had hoped to tee it up more properly, but I did not. But I may still try and show it to you. It just won't quite be as precise as I might have hoped. I'm just wondering, do I want to start with that? Because it means I've got to share my screen. But I do. You know what? Let me just start with that. The YouTube discussion was with a guy I have found to be very interesting and good, John Anderson, out of Australia. He's interviewing a professor at Oxford, John Lennox, who apparently his background is mathematics, but he's a Christian. He offers some good insight. He talked a little bit about C.S. Lewis, but he made a point in there that I wanted to focus on later in the week, and maybe I still will. But let me see if I can prepare this screen and get the show off on a video Goodfoot. I've got to remember, come back here. And before I check it, I'm going to just let this video run and then try and check the chat to engage with y'all today to see what you think about this day, which could go down in American history. Will some way, shape, or form go down in American history. But let me see if I can handle this first task with some sort of ability. All right, here we go.
And it seems to me that this whole area of artificial intelligence and the chance that we may reach the capacity to literally destroy ourselves requires us to think long and hard and to make judgments that will have to be based, if you like, on faith. You can't know exactly what's going to happen. So you see, if you want to say, well, it requires a lot of faith to believe in, to think through whether I believe in a God, I would have thought this whole area presents just as great a challenge. Who am I? How am I going to work this out? Do I put some ethical framework down? Or do I just sit in the pot and let the water boil, gradually boil until it's too late?
Yes. I think this is a very important issue we've come to. There's such confusion in the world about what faith is. And that's mainly the fault, and I would say the fault of people like Dawkins and Hitchens, who actually didn't know what they were talking about, because they redefined faith actually as a religious word that means believing where there's no evidence. And what they fail to see is that's a definition of blind faith that only a fool will get involved with. The word faith, in English, from the Latin fides, from which we get fidelity, which conveys the whole idea of trustworthiness. And trustworthiness comes from having a backup in terms of evidence. A bank manager will only have faith in you if you prove you've got the collateral. You have to bring the evidence. We'd be foolish to trust people without evidence. So evidence-based faith is something everyone understands, but they don't realize is that it's essential to science, and it's essential to a genuine Christian faith in God. I get leery these days, John, of using the word faith on its own, because people think you're talking about religion. Sometimes they say to me, will you give a talk on faith and science? I say, do you want me to talk about God? Oh, yes. Well, I says, not in your title. I could talk about faith in science without even mentioning God, because scientists have got a basic credo, things they believe. They've got to believe that the science can be done. They've got to believe that the universe is rationally intelligible. That is their faith, and no scientist could be imagined without it, as Einstein once said. So if you want to talk about faith as faith in God, please call it faith in God, or else we're going to get very confused. Now, coming back to this, you are absolutely right. This is going to force us, whether we like it or not, to do some hard thinking and to re-inspect and recalibrate our worldview, because our attitude to these things depends on our worldview, our set of answers to the big questions of life. What is reality? Who am I? What's going to happen after death? And all those kind of things. They're coming out in this area. We're being forced to think about them. And as you say, we can sit like the toad in the kettle when the water's boiling and pretend that nothing's happening. But we can't afford that. That isn't a luxury. That's suicidal. And the trouble is, there is a book called The Suicide of the West, where we're just not thinking enough. And I feel, and I know you're doing this, and I feel called to do it too, to put issues out into the public space so that people can really see that they can think about them and they can come to conclusions about them. And as you say, we're really landing this discussion. And it seems to me that focusing on what's going on, I read Harari and I read other books like this, and I say, I can understand what you're looking for. You're looking for something that's very deep and hardwired in us. But, and I make people smile sometimes when I meet these people, transhumanists, and I say, guys, I respect what you're after, but you're too late. And they say, what? Too late? Of course we're not too late. I say, you actually are too late. Take your two problems. One, physical death, I said, now, I believe there's powerful evidence that that was solved 20 centuries ago. It was actually solved before that, but 20 centuries ago, there was a resurrection in Jerusalem. We celebrated it at Easter. We're just after Easter now. And as a scientist, I believe it for various reasons that we can discuss. But the point is that if Jesus Christ broke the death barrier, that puts everything in a different light. Why? Because it affects you and me. How does it affect you and me? Because if that is the case, then we need to recalibrate and take seriously his claim to be God become human. I said, isn't that interesting? What are you trying to do? You're trying to turn humans into gods. The Christian message goes in the exact opposite direction. It tells us of a God who became human. Do you notice the difference? And of course, that actually gets people fascinated. I say, you are actually taking seriously the idea that humans can turn themselves into gods by technology and so on. Why won't you take seriously the idea that there is a God who became human? Is that any more difficult to do? And once you've got that, then I think, arguably, you need to take seriously what Jesus says. And what he says is, and that is the Christian message, he is God become human in order to do what? To give us his life. If you like, to turn us into what you want to be. Because the amazing thing about this is that the central message of the Christian faith to you and me is the answer to the transhumanist dream. One, Christ promises eternal life. That is life that will never cease. And it begins now, not in some mystical, transhuman, uncertain future, but right now. Secondly, because he rose from the dead, he promises that we will one day be raised from the dead to live with him in another transcendent realm that's perhaps even more real, probably more real, is more real than this one. And that's going to be the biggest uploading ever, you see. So your hope for the future of humanity, changing human beings into something more desirable, living forever and happier, all of that is offered. But the difference between the two is radical, because firstly, your idea is using human intelligence to turn humans into gods, bypassing the problem of moral evil. You're never going to do it. No utopia has ever been built. And of course, you're not thinking straight, because there have been attempts to re-engineer humanity, crude, of course, the Nazi program of eugenics, the Soviet attempts to make a new man. And what did they lead to? Rivers of blood. 20th century being the bloodiest century in history. Mind you, what's happening now might make this a very bloody century. But what I'm saying, John, is that I believe even more strongly than ever that we've got, as Christians, a brilliant answer and a message to speak into this that crosses all the boxes, but it means facing moral reality, which is exactly at the heart of the scariness with which some people approach these issues.
Oh, I didn't, I'm doing this out of order because I am flying by the seat of my pants. But what an incredible, I just wanted to make sure you're seeing me, and I've gotten away from the video and stopped sharing the screen. But what an incredible point he was making. You cannot bypass the problem of moral evil. I just loved the way he walked through in a very simplistic and basic kind of way what we're facing and why so many of these people who do not walk by faith are so scared and they're talking about, summoning the demon and all this other kind of stuff. Because when you meet these moments, people can talk all this yang they want. When you meet the moment we're being confronted with now, and your knowledge base is limited necessarily because you are in this earthly realm and you're about to wade into something beyond your comprehension. And if you pay attention to these artificial intelligence people, they are seeing things beyond their comprehension, and then they're trying to figure it out after the fact. It's just one of the difficulties of modernity. But what I loved at the outset, I have a favorite line where I talk about, the left wing and people who oppose us. One of their primary tools is to obfuscate. They conflate in order to obfuscate and then thereby maintain power and control. And how interesting that he talked about Christopher Hitchens, he talked about Dawkins, and how they've conflated faith with blind faith. It's just no difference to them. Okay. But words matter, and blind faith is something different. And I loved how he drew the parallel between faith and then faith in God Almighty. These are different things. Faith is essential to the operation of a scientist. He made that point. We make the point, if you go down through history and do your research, faith in God Almighty has been essential to science. Because you can't just engage science without any parameters. Moral ethics is baked into us by God Almighty. And so many of them can deny this, but at a moment like now, you can hear people and their little hesitation, and then these 23 guidelines for the artificial intelligence principles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, express some of their trepidation. Because, you are operating outside. Many of them are operating outside the boundaries and reinforced. They talk about reinforcement learning. What is it? By human RLHF, by human feedback. And, that's only going to get you so far. There has to be some reinforcement learning through processing God Almighty. To me, that's what we're looking at in this moment. So I'm almost 20 minutes in. Before I do any ad, I want to, let me see. Maybe I better go ahead and do an ad and check that block, knowing how off I can get, and then I'm late in the show. Yeah, let me do that. And then I will engage you in the chat. How about that? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Badlands Media is proud to be partnered with our friends at Furman Power Equipment as the sponsor of our first event, the Great American Restoration Tour in Chandler, Arizona, coming up April 20th through the 23rd. And what a timely moment to have an event like this. We certainly hope you can join us either in person or virtually. You can get your tickets at badlandsmedia.tv, your virtual tickets. Furman generators are portable. And by the way, at last I checked, there are still some in-person tickets you can get for attending this conference to mix and mingle with us. The only tickets, it's not just that only virtual tickets are available. Actual tickets for being physically present, at last I checked, are still available. So if you're interested, please touch base. Furman generators are portable, versatile, durable, dependable, and user-friendly. Furman Power Equipment will be there to help you conquer anything life throws your way. Badlands Media is powered by Furman, and you should be too. For all your generator needs, go to FurmanPowerEquipment.com and use the discount code BADLANDS at checkout for 17% off. That's FurmanPowerEquipment.com and discount code BADLANDS for 17% off at checkout. All right, I have clicked the image off. I should be still cooking with gas. And, I've got my TV on, in this little makeshift studio and looking to see. I'm just going to be curious during the course of this show if any foolishness pops off while the show is ongoing. And I am fearful of, foolishness at some point during the day. I think they're talking about an arraignment in the 2 o'clock hour. So that probably will wait. We probably won't, but you just never know with these crazy ass people. You just never know. Let me see how we're doing. Let me see. Good morning to everybody. Evidence that's not seen, correct. Bill Gates. Don't get me started on Bill Gates. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. Faith in God Almighty. He needs to read his Bible. Yeah, Nicole, you finish your pot of coffee. You are rocking and rolling. I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with my do-it-yourself diabetes stuff, and since my A1C, I don't think I told you all this, but it had gone. I've been on a yearly little thing, and it's risen from 7 something to 8 something to 9 something, and then this year 10.1. I feel great. I have lost weight. My protocol is working in terms of some of the things that I need to do. And now I'm just trying to figure out, how important is this A1C? What is it? But I am working now I'm not doubting the importance of the A1C. I'm going to try and affect the A1C in my do-it-yourself approach. And I'm starting by focusing a little bit more on lemon water and a little bit less on my coffee and my turmeric and all this other stuff I'm adding to the coffee. I'm still using that. I'm still going to do that, but I'm just going to drink more lemon water and then try and track it monthly, to see what the A1C number is doing. Yeah, could and should, Sunny 177. The thing about us as human beings, the should is not going to limit. We are explorers. We have curiosity. There are certain things that has protected us as a species for dominion, and the should is not going to stop us. It's just not. That's why we must walk with faith into this. For so many who will not, we have to be present. Yeah, science can't really explain love, and the demons are real. They've always been real. A blizzard, oh, wow, 200x. I there's something about a blizzard that intrigues the hell out of me, but yeah, I don't want to be in it. I am trying to remember that I need to come in. Oh, Diana, that's what you're saying. Do 2 ads at one time. Okay. I may incorporate that. Thank you. That it does make a certain amount of sense. Nancy Patriot, thank you. Compliments are always appreciated. I do have some vanity. I do. Seems genetic. Mhm. Um, Nobody else among my siblings, is dealing with diabetes. And these things can skip generations. I do recognize that. I'm keeping that in mind. And yeah, the stop sugar. Look, um, I'm cutting back on my sugar. Okay, I'm just. eh. And no, good gracious alive, I did not get the pineapple. I may have to write that on my hand today so that I don't forget. Get some damn pineapple. I will add that. I will absolutely add that. Um, First thing, once I finish with this show, I'm likely going to go straight to the grocery store and get some pineapple. Eggs, yeah, eggs are getting expensive. And my working philosophy has been that it is reversible. I've seen videos that make logical sense to me on that fact. How I marry it up with my daily operation is the problem and the question. Um, I got to get better at it. Oh, goodness. Moving money to Bitcoin and XRP. Bitcoin, yes. I think Gensler is got his eyes set on almost all of these altcoins, especially XRP. XRP is a big bank tool. Just it was designed to be a big bank tool. That's the way it looks to me. We must walk by faith and not by sight, Mrs. Wiley. So true. The thing about the weather this year, what you have to understand, um, many of us have not seen weather like this because in the cycle that's ongoing, it's beyond our lifetime. But if we were 100 years old, we would have seen stuff like this. I saw something in California saying the snowpack that they have from the weather they've endured is the highest since 1952. So it's not like this is unprecedented. It's just there are cycles. And this is my thing about y'all talking about seeding and God Almighty has the weather down, and I don't know that we can affect it. I'm doubtful that we can affect it in the way y'all have said. I'm very doubtful. I know we have technology, and I know it's done some incredible things. I remain unconvinced. Uh, Sugar is the devil. It's yeah, it has that impact. I just for so long, I mean, I just have had a sweet tooth. And I'm sure one of the reasons I have a problem now is when I was in high school, I could walk to the grocery store, get a half gallon of ice milk. I don't know that we were even getting ice cream, but I'd kill it, the entire half gallon, kill it. That did some damage. I have no doubt about that. And sing for him. Yes, I'm looking into fasting. I am doing some fasting. More one meal a day, and I have done a time or two 24-hour fast. I'm going to try and increase the 24-hour task and increase the 1 meal a day. I did see Jum that Elon changed to Doge. I have not read Joe Lang's recent article. I've seen some of his comments, in Telegram. I think I'm fairly well aligned with Joe on what he's suspecting is coming. I think that. Don't know that. But I've said, man, look, Elon is tapped into some of what's going on here. I think Peter Thiel is tapped into some of what's going on here. Donald Trump. And I think there is some coordination on a lot of this that they may never acknowledge. And I'm not pressed about that. I don't need an acknowledgement. I just want to see that we stay on the course, we remain actively involved, and we do our part. Yeah, Lyndon Johnson talked about a lot of stuff. There's been a dream. The fact that human beings make claims, this was my point. I hope y'all don't misunderstand me. I'm not being dismissive. I'm not trying to be dismissive anyway. I don't care about claims. I don't care about claims, and I'm not even really about things that appear to be coincidences. Show me a pattern where you say 0% chance of rain, and then they come in and they make it rain. I don't know about that. Yeah. I'm checking y'all out, and I'm thinking about the chat that they had in Defected the other night, and it was like popping, really popping, and all kinds of comments. Again, it's why I think Badlands is hitting on the right stuff, and then our unique little niche of terms of interacting. And I do want to have more of a structured approach. I do want to have some prompts prepared the day before. That was a good suggestion. I'm sure multiple people made that. Thank you, Wild. I appreciate the donation so much. And the sports thing, you're making me think about it, Wild. I didn't realize how into the Florida Atlantic basketball team I was. But once that shot hit, it really deflated the heck out of me on Saturday. I didn't even watch the Miami game, wasn't interested in it in the slightest. And I did not watch the championship last night. I thought only FAU had a chance to compete with UConn. And I think that kind of was proved out. But yeah, okay. I'm not going to get dragged into the weather thing. We have a difference of opinion. And again, having worked in a state legislative branch, hearings don't mean much to me. All kinds of special interest prompt lawmakers to have hearings for the purpose of getting a narrative out there, getting some business, and then trying to prove X, Y, or Z. Hearings don't mean much to me. They don't. And FAU isn't my team, Wild. It's just that I thought it would be really curious and interesting for a Florida boy if it wasn't all Florida final, and of course both Florida teams got eliminated. I didn't give a damn about the Canes because they are a rival. I really wanted Florida Atlantic to win that title. Okay, let me check one more block, and maybe I'll try and do two back to back as suggested. Just y'all hang in there with me, okay?
Benson Honey Farms delivers raw honey straight from the hive to your table. It is their mission to provide you the best raw honey at the lowest prices possible. By not pasteurizing, overheating, or filtering their honey, Benson Honey Farms ensures that all of its natural pollen and enzymes stay in the honey for maximum health benefits. So cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. Visit BensonHoneyFarms.com and use the rep code BADLANDS to place your order today. That's BensonHoneyFarms.com, rep code BADLANDS.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about, in terms of the Benson honey, just how we try and use it in our daily life, and there may being a diabetic application, although you say, hey, quit the sugar. And, I'm very hesitant to quit the sugar. But what I'm going to try and do, and this is maybe not put the Benson honey in my coffee. Someone had indicated heat can be deleterious to the benefits of honey. Okay, so what I think I'm going to try and do is just use a teaspoon or a tablespoon, a little bit of honey, sprinkle on some turmeric, sprinkle on some cayenne pepper, and then just ingest that. And just in terms of trying to differentiate a little bit and see what kind of impact it has on my A1C, along with some other supplements I'm going to add to the process as I try to check my A1C, if not week by week, month by month. Okay, one more ad, ladies and gentlemen.
Silicon Valley Bank debacle demonstrated just how fragile our banking system can be. We don't know what the future holds, but history has shown us that physical gold and silver are a reliable store of value to protect your wealth. Don't let fear of the unknown paralyze you. Take the first step towards securing your financial future. Reach out to Kirk and his team at KirkElliottPhD.com/Badlands. That's KirkElliottPhD.com/Badlands.
Okay, and because I'm so appreciative of Kirk Elliott being a sponsor, and I understand the importance of sponsors and the importance of our audience patronizing sponsors, I've been hesitant to go down some of the stuff I might want to have gone down in terms of Bitcoin, because I am all in on Bitcoin. But checking out your portfolio, as so many of you seem to be paying more attention and thinking about mitigating your exposure to the fiat system, savings accounts, monies controlled by the banks, as lenders to the bank. But research is important, and risk assessment is important. Where do you fall on the scale? And that should definitely be a part of your conversation with someone like Kirk and the beneficial services he provides. Okay, now two things. I have not forgotten about those 23 guidelines. What I was looking for this morning and been looking for is something of a checklist. It might not wind up being something y'all are particularly interested in. It's something I'm curious about. I want to get something of a checklist that we can then use to walk through these 23 guidelines as something of an assessment, again, for our own edification, our own education of, okay, what's at stake with this artificial intelligence? What are they concerned about? How do we think that concern marries up with what might be of concern to us, and at what level? So I'm going to be trying to figure that out a little bit more today. I have found something from Johns Hopkins, and I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate it so that we can have a discussion, just a casual discussion in the morning chat. And hopefully that will be tomorrow. I also have not forgotten, I saw in the chat some discussion about the Restrict Act. Very intrigued by that outrageously bad legislation. And, I'm just trying to think, do I want to start showing you? I generated a document because once I saw what this thing was talking about, how there's some faking of the funk going on, and I hate the faking of the funk and how these people in Congress do this. Um, and let me see if I've got that document open. Maybe I can just share the screen. Yeah. No, I don't. I have it on. But I do. Give me a minute. Let me go find this document that I created. These damn senators frustrate me so. They frustrate me so. Because why must it be so hard? You know what? I think I remember where I put it. Let me come back as I ramble. And as y'all humor me as I ramble. And remember my friend Patrick and the hold for processing stuff. There we go. I want to, just so you, let me try and maximize this screen, because I want to just walk through with you the list of sponsors. You know, we can talk about the actual legislation later, but I just want to show you, I think, the list of sponsors. And yeah, let me see if I can share my screen and do this properly. You know how this will occasionally confuse me. And, you know, what is it? What is it? Yeah. Now, they got 26 sponsors on this damn bill. And, you know, there are only 100 senators. That tells you something. Okay. Somebody is making a humongous push for this legislation. And, you know, that means, in my mind, that means the invisible enemy is making a humongous push for this legislation. I don't see any possible way it has any life in the House because we have control of the House now. And this is why Donald Trump worked so hard to get the Congress. Because if the Congress isn't on board, nothing's going anywhere. Sometimes the Congress can get on board with stuff and then you can convince senators. Rarely will things flow in such a way that the Senate drives the train and then the Congress is convinced. It's usually the other way around. But you see what I've written up here. 6 of the original 13 sponsors are up for election next year. Remember, senators have a 6-year term. So this is going to be an opportunity for us. You know, to me, this bill fits with the Schedule F imperative. It's a litmus test. Are you signing on to this bill? If you're signing on as a sponsor to this bill, we don't need you. You got to go. And we need to just make it that clear to people. This is the deal. Number 1 is Mark Warner out of Virginia. Good gracious alive. Has that guy been a problem for years? Northern Virginia. Oh man, they've messed up that state. They have really messed up that state, but he's not up until 2027. John Thune, another problem, another humongous problem. He's not up until 2029. Tammy Baldwin, I do not know anything about her, but she's up this cycle. We got to get rid of her. Wisconsin, please. Oh, and goodness, they have elections in Wisconsin today for their Supreme Court, don't they? Wisconsin is a crucial state. Deb Fisher, Nebraska. Man, Nebraska, we've got a president of the University of Florida now, Ben Sass. He was a problem in DC. I think Trump engineered his presidency at the University of Florida to get him out of the Senate. And it's like, wow, now we got to carry this guy as our president. But hey, whatever for the cause, the larger cause. Manchin, ladies and gentlemen, good gracious. We talk so much about Joe Manchin. He's a Democrat. People can talk about switching and all like that. He's a Democrat and he's an establishment guy. He has signed on to this damn bill. That tells you all you need to know, in my estimation, about Joe Manchin. Kansas, Jerry Moran. I know nothing about him. He's not up until 2029. Michael Bennet out of Colorado, not up until 2029. Dan Sullivan out of Arkansas, 2027. When I see Republicans signing off on this bill, we've got to do some policing in the ranks. That's the way I think about it. That is just the way I think about it. Kirsten Gillibrand, good gracious alive, up in New York. What a marvelous thing it would be if we could get rid of that chick. New York, please do something about her. Susan Collins, same damn thing, but she's not up until 2027. Very unlikely Maine is going to deal with her. Mark Heinrich, New Mexico. I think this is somebody we can get rid of. New Mexico is another curious state to me. I think there's been some fakery in New Mexico via the elections, larger than in other states, that's allowed them to keep somebody like him. We need to fix that. Mitt, I don't see any hope there unless Mitt just decides to not run. He's Utah all the way, and they sign off on him. These are the original sponsors. And then to see West Virginia, Shelley Moore Capito signed off on this bill. Weirdness there. Weirdness. What follows next are the people who were added as sponsors soon after March 7th or later in the month. Ben Ray Lujan, New Mexico. 2 senators from New Mexico have signed off on this damn thing. Tim Kaine, Lost Cause, Virginia. Please do something about this man this cycle. Get rid of him. Kevin Kramer, North Dakota. John, can John tell me what is going on with this guy? How is a Republican from North Dakota signing off on this bill? Another lost cause, Richard Blumenthal, good gracious alive, not up until 2029. And here we go. This is where I want to pause. What in the hell is Chuck Grassley doing? What in the hell? Sometimes you reach a point where you say, okay, here is one of those defining moments where you really, really, really start to understand the difficulty of what Donald Trump ran into. I mean, Chuck Grassley signed off on this bill? John Hickenlooper, Colorado, up in 2027. This is another one. North Carolina. What in the hell are y'all doing? Who is this Thomas Tillis guy? I don't get it. I don't get it. I was pleased. I may be surprised later on, but as a Florida boy, I was pleased. Neither of our senators signed off on this crap. And that makes sense to me. I don't understand somebody from North Carolina signing off on this foolishness. And y'all know. Lindsey. The Carolinas have really thrown us for a loop sometimes, man. Mark Kelly, don't know a damn thing, up in 2029. When we get out to the Great American Restoration Tour, I'm going to be sure to ask the people out there about that guy. Then this Angus King Independent, he's up in 2025. Can Maine get rid of this fool? I know someone in the chat, I seem to recall we've got a viewer or two from Maine. Can we get rid of that guy? Mike, Crapo, Idaho, 2029, no hope. John Boozman, wait a minute. Does that mean they've got 2 senators from Arkansas who are supporting this crap? He's not up until 2029. Peter Welch, Vermont. The New England states are really hurting us. They are really hurting us. That's the end of it. I put this together the other day. Things may have changed in terms of the sponsors, but again, to me, this is one of those litmus tests. It's just like the Schedule F imperative. Did you sign off on this Restrict Act or not? We need to get rid of you if you did, because that is some craziness. And I hope y'all see it that way. Let me check the chat. But yeah, I want to make sure you understand. We can talk about that Restrict Act tomorrow, along with the Asilomar artificial intelligence principles. I mean, I think those are 2 important discussions. There may be some stuff that crops up today that overtakes these discussions. Again, this could be a really weird day. So much could happen that may generate discussion tomorrow. But let me, JB, please scroll up. Did I? Y'all confuse me sometimes. Oh, did I do it wrong in terms of the screen share? Forgive me. Honey is best. Yes, in coffee, no spoon, no garnish, straight, please. Local Badlands, but Manuka honey. Okay. What did you? Mitchie Me, you packaged a bunch of the teas. Oh, let me see. Yeah, I've got let me give you, I've got a P.O. box. Are you saying you want to send me some tea? Anyway, okay. The Gates House Arrest Act drives the state right through the heart of the deep state. Gonna have to check that out. Flying Storm, thank you for that prompt. Amber, I will definitely call you that, Mrs. Wiley. Yeah, Pennsylvania didn't vote for that fool boy Fetterman. I know. So much of the country did not vote for the people who've been selected and placed. It's one of the things we're going to have to get to the bottom of. It's one of the things when I hear people talk, and it's like they have no concern whatsoever about this Joe Biden 81 million vote thing. They just accepted it and moved the hell on. And I mean, I got to admit, I'm just shocked by how many people have just accepted that and moved the hell on. Yeah, Manchin has played around he's been, when I worked in the Florida legislature, there was a senator from the Panhandle, Pensacola, I believe, W.D. Childers. They called him the Banty Rooster. And he had been a big time Democrat. But the main thing was, the maintenance of power and the exertion of it, et cetera, et cetera. And he was very crafty. The committee that I was hired into, the Commerce Committee, was kind of, sort of the power committee in the Florida Senate at that time. And so much flowed through that committee, the staff director, the lobbyist. This is what I mean when I say you see somebody out front and they may or may not be driving the train. The staff director and the people who work on the committee may be far more important. You just don't know. And I'm just talking about a state legislature, and this is from 30 years ago. It was always at a higher level, and the stakes were always higher in DC. I mean, you see what they've done to DC. They've hoarded out almost the entirety of DC and made it the richest place in the country. This is absurd. We have to bring a recession or a depression to DC if we're serious about anything. That's what Schedule F is all about. Yeah, Alaska has played so many. Look, I was a fan of Mama Grizzly, and I remain a fan of Sarah Palin. They've played some crazy games in Alaska. Crazy, crazy games. Lindsay. I'm not going to mess with Lindsay. Lindsay has kind of bopped around a little bit here and a little bit there. Very conflicted. They've got some stuff on Lindsay, I do believe. But Lindsay was important on getting those Supreme Court justices. I give him some dap for that. He did man up and did the right thing. Yeah, Gates and look, they understand. People talk some stuff about Gates, but he's a player who understands the game. Trump has a certain amount of confidence in him. Same thing with Green. And they did their part well in that speakership election. They did their part really well. And yeah, they talk this crap about TikTok. We do need to be concerned about TikTok, but they're trying to use the TikTok thing to come in with this crap. And it's not going to work. Not going to work. Yeah, the scroll. I'll have to remember when I do the screen share. I got to be cognizant of what y'all are seeing. Okay, wow. I'm about to run out of time. Did I do? I don't think I did. I got to do my one last. There's no way he got 81 million. Of course, we all know that. And this is the thing about them just signing off on it. It's like, can you not think? But people don't understand the numbers if they're not paying attention. It's just who was announced as the winner, and that's all they really know. They don't know the historical numbers and the impossibility of him getting 81 million. That they don't know. To this day, they don't know. Liberty Bell 57. That's one of the things I loved about Sarah Palin. So many of my friends thought, okay, this is just about, okay, you want to get in her drawers. No, good gracious alive. Woman's married, she's got a family and all like that. It's not about that. But she just impressed me as a regular chick who loved the country, saw some craziness in Alaska and tried to deal with it. What the hell's not to like about that? TikTok has won, Mrs. Watley, the younger generation. I know my nephew has a wife who's all into TikTok. and it has won the younger generation. I mean, you have to give them credit. They figured something out, and you know, in this ADD world, little attention span. And I've seen some good stuff. I've seen some humorous stuff. I don't use TikTok, but they present it on YouTube. It's like, okay, I'll watch it there. I'm not going to TikTok. I want to see arrest to Firestorm 99, and I think we are going to get them. We have to be patient. However, let me get this last ad in, and I will come back and say my goodbyes. I am so pleased to still have y'all hanging around and dealing with me and my what is the word, the overly educated word, the vicissitudes, you know. I just I don't want to try and take this stuff too seriously, and because I do know that y'all will hang in there with me, I'm comfortable not doing that. So here is my last ad for the day. Please know that when you go to the mypillow.com website and click on the radio/podcast square, your world will open up to tons of amazing specials My Pillow is offering. And that is being offered to our Badlands community. And you save up to 80% on everything there with the promo code Badlands. Yes, indeed, you will find the buy one, get one special for the incredible My Pillow 2.0. But right now, you'll also see that Mike is giving us deals on his bathrobe closeout sale, his buy one, get one free on his Giza sheet sets, his slippers for as low as $49.98, and 40% off mattress toppers and My Pillow down blankets. Be sure to use the promo code Badlands to get your discount at mypillow.com. That's mypillow.com, promo code Badlands. And let me not forget to take off this ad. And thank y'all so much, and look forward to hopefully, a day that goes as our president wants it to go. I look forward to his address tonight. I'm going to be very curious to see what he says and if there are some nuggets we can take from it, you know, some highlights, some indications, because the battle goes on. We are confident that we will secure total victory. And I look forward to y'all joining me tomorrow for further discussions about the events of our day and the role of faith in that. Thank you so much. Later, Gators.